Hey everyone, and welcome back to my channel. Today I'm going to be doing another review and demo of a foundation, and the one I am doing today is the Tarte Rainforest of the Sea Water Foundation. Now if you're new to my channel, what I like to do is just go ahead and show you guys the demo so you can kind of see how it applies, how it covers, and then I get on to a more in-depth review about how long it lasts, how it worked with my oily skin and stuff like that. So I am going to go ahead and get into the demo, but before I do, in case you guys are wondering what's on my lips, it is the Wet n Wild Mega Last Liquid Catsuit in the shade Coral Corruption. I loved most of these, but these brighter shades like this one and there's a hot pink one are really patchy. It's really hard for me to get this to where it looks even. I love the color, so I'm really hoping that I can find another liquid lipstick in this shade because I love it. But yeah, this is what's on my lips, and again, that was Coral Corruption. So yeah, so now we'll just go ahead and get into the demo. Alright guys, so the primer that I did use today is the Dr. Brandt Pores No More Pore Fighting Primer. With this foundation, I do prefer a primer like this because I find that this one kind of sinks into my fine lines. So using a pore filling primer, I think just makes the foundation look a little bit smoother. I'll talk about that in the review, but I did want to mention this is what I used. Also online, it does say that the best way to use this is with their brush. I don't have their brush. I think that a foundation should work well with any brush or any sponge. But you're supposed to just drop the product onto the brush and then blend it into your skin. I tried that method with one of my brushes. I don't like it. Again, I'll talk about that in the review. I'm just going to be using my L'Oreal sponge today. I actually like to directly drop the product on my skin and kind of blend it out with my finger and then come in with a sponge. That's just where it has worked best for me. Again, I'll talk a little bit more about it in the review, but I did want to mention that before we continued on to the demo. But yeah, now we can go ahead and get to the demo. So I hope that you enjoyed that demo. Now I'm going to go and finish the rest of my makeup, and then I'll be back to give you guys my review. Alright, so I hope you guys enjoyed that demo. Now on to the review. I do have my paper right here with like all kinds of stuff written on it to review it for you guys. So this foundation does retail for $39. This is available at Tarte and Sephora. This is not available at Ulta. This is the Rainforest of the Sea collection, which is exclusive to Sephora. And then just like the, how Ulta has the, I think it's double duty line or something like that, that's exclusive to Ulta as well. Now on Sephora you can get 21 different shades. I do really like the shade range. I definitely think they could benefit for some, in my personal opinion, they could benefit for some deeper shades. I know that they did expand the line a while back for more lighter shades. The shade I have is Fairlight Sand. Fairlight Neutral matches me better, but I don't know where that's at, so this is the one that I applied in the demo. It still works okay, still pretty close, but I do like the neutral shade a little bit better. Now for the packaging, this is just a frosted glass packaging, which I think is really nice and I do like. Very simple, not a lot going on. Now the actual applicator, I wish they would have just put a pump or made it where you could just pour it out under your hand. You're supposed to just press this and it takes the product up in there, but honestly I don't think that it holds like a lot of product. I don't know, just not a whole fan of the applicator. Now, I am going to go ahead and just read you guys kind of its claims on Sephora. That's just what I like to do, just to see if it lives up to the claims. I do want to mention that it does say the best way of application is to use their brush. I didn't purchase their brush. I think that you should be able to use any foundation with any kind of brush. I also, it does say that for light coverage, use 1 to 2 drops. For medium coverage, use 3 to 4 drops. I had to use a lot more to get the desired coverage, and I still don't think this is full coverage, but I did just want to read that. So basically this says, deliver the ultimate hydrating boosting coverage with Tarte's 12-hour water foundation. The concentrated full coverage fluid formula features 20% water to quench dry skin as it covers and masks any redness, dry spots, and uneven skin tone while softening the look of pores and fine lines. The custom dropper applicator delivers the perfect level of moisture-rich coverage in an array of shades to match any skin tone. Powered by Tarte's antioxidant-packed Rainforest of the Sea complex and non-chemical SPF 15 sunscreen, the hypoallergenic formula helps restore, brighten, and defend skin from free radical damage and early signs of aging for a soft, smooth, radiant complexion. So basically, like I said, I'll just go through here really quick and tell you guys what I think about all the claims. So it doesn't say on here really if this is for dry, normal, anything like that type of skin. It does say that it's 20% water to quench dry skin. So I'm not exactly sure if it's just meant for dry skin, but I do have oily skin and I actually like this foundation quite well. I do think it holds up. So the first thing I will talk about is where it says it lasts for 12 hours. Now, out of all the days I have wrote down here, I do work outside. I don't know if you guys know that, but it's been like, it was 89 degrees the other day and I was wearing this foundation. It lasts about 7 hours in the heat before I just get to the point where I'm so oily that I'm like, hey, I need to blot and powder because it's to the point where I can't stand it. Now, if I'm just sitting at home or I went and run errands or shopping, I do get a little bit more of a longer wear, about 9 hours. But I definitely don't think I get a 12-hour wear time. Even when I powder and like blot, I'll talk a little bit about that, I don't feel like I can wear this foundation for 12 hours. Now, like I said, if I blot and powder like I was talking about, this is one of those foundations that if I blot it, it gets super patchy, it looks super dry, and then if I go over top of it with a powder, it just makes it look worse. So this is one of those foundations that I find is kind of hard for me personally to work with throughout the day. Usually most foundations, like I can make them work if I do get a little bit dewy because I can blot and powder. But with this one, it's like I can't blot and powder with this foundation. It just doesn't work. It does have a tacky feel to it, so I do like to set it. The setting powders that I like to use is my Estee Lauder one, my MAC one, and then the Maybelline translucent one. But I definitely think that it does benefit from being set because when I did try to go in and blend my bronzer and stuff over top of it, I did notice some patchiness. So after that, I just completely powder my face. Again, that is just what has worked personally for me. So I also don't think that this is transfer proof. Like when you first put it on and set it, it's fine. But within like an hour, if I do like touch my face or I touch something or I'll take my shirt off, this does transfer on there. So just kind of be cautious of that. As long as you don't touch your face though, I don't have any issues with it. It's fine. Now as far as coverage, it does say that it's full coverage, but I disagree. I think that if you're someone who maybe doesn't have a lot to cover up, a lot of discoloration and redness and stuff like that, then you might consider this a full coverage foundation. But I think if you're someone like me who has like acne breakouts and pretty red cheeks, this for me just isn't full coverage. As you guys probably seen in the demo, I use a lot of product, and to me, that's about as like full coverage as I can get it before I start feeling that this starts looking heavy and cakey. Like I think I can get a more medium coverage out of this. I think it is a more light to medium coverage foundation. So if you do have acne or a lot to cover up, I don't exactly know how well this is going to work for you because I don't have really bad acne, but I do have quite a bit of breakouts going on right now. And this for me, I mean, I don't know if you might be able to see in the viewfinder, but I did spot conceal today over top of this. But like I said, if you are fine with spot concealing, then I think that this foundation, again, would work fine. But I don't consider it a full coverage foundation, again, working with my skin. And now buildable, as you guys could see in the demo, I did build it up right here, and on my forehead. I do think it builds up on that second layer nicely. I did try to go in with a more thicker layer several times, and it just started looking really heavy, really cakey, and I noticed that I got oily a lot quicker. So I like to just do that where I do one layer and then just kind of where I need a little bit more, build it up in those areas. Now, like I said, this is very lightweight. It is like a water foundation. I don't really feel it on my skin throughout the day. I, in my personal opinion, don't think it's as lightweight as the Smashbox foundation that I did a recent review on. Just because I can feel it on my skin throughout the day, whereas with the Smashbox one, it's so lightweight that I don't really feel it on my skin at all. Alright, so I think the finish is quite natural. It didn't really say what kind of finish this is supposed to have. said over time it is supposed to make a smooth, like radiant finish, but I think that it's very natural. It's not super matte, it's not super dewy, it's just, again, like a really natural foundation, which I like. This doesn't sink into my pores or my fine lines on my forehead, but it does sink into my fine lines right here around my smile lines, which most foundations do, but this one really sinks in and saturates that. So I actually like to use a pore filling primer when I use this one, especially in this area. And this is just the one I've been using. I have tried this with mattifying primers, and I do get a longer wear when I use my Smashbox Photo Finish Primer in light. I definitely think that it keeps me from getting so incredibly oily as fast. But again, I do like to use this because I cannot stand when it goes into my smile line. So definitely keep that into consideration if you maybe have a lot of fine lines and wrinkles. That might be something to look out for. But again, if I use a pore filling primer, I don't find it to be a problem. But that primer doesn't keep me as matte as long as like my Smashbox or my Estee Lauder primer and stuff does. Alright, now something that I do want to mention is, again, I don't have dry skin, I have oily skin, but again, if I'm treating the areas with my acne, it can get kind of dry and crusty around those areas. This does not blend seamlessly over top of those. This grabs around those dry patches and really emphasizes it. So again, I find myself, like, if I know I'm going to be wearing this foundation, I'm like, alright, let me exfoliate, which does help. But again, if you have dry skin, I'm not sure how this is going to work for you, because if it does grab onto those dry patches and stuff over my acne, you know, if your face is like everywhere in your face is dry, I'm not sure how it's going to work. So again, just something to kind of keep in mind that I did want to mention that I did know. Now this does have SPF 15 in it, but I haven't noticed any like flashback or anything in any like photography with this. So the last thing that I do want to mention is how it says to apply it. As you guys seen, I don't know, my sponge is over there, but I like to use a sponge like I do with most of my makeup. But if I used this dropper and dropped it into my foundation brush, I like the Real Techniques one, and then I have a It Cosmetics one I liked, and then my MAC brush. All of them really seem to soak up a lot of that product, and I felt like I was using a ton of product. And the brush strokes, like, I guess where this is such a liquidy like foundation, it just left brush strokes all in my face, and it was just like I ended up having to go back in with a beauty blender and kind of tapping it in to get rid of those brush strokes. So in my opinion, I don't think it works the best with the brush. Again, that's just how I feel. I think that the sponge just presses it into the skin, doesn't leave those brush strokes, and it just looks better overall. So that's why I did choose to use a sponge with it. Usually I do half brush, half sponge in the demos, but I did not like the brush at all with this foundation. So yeah, overall, do I think it's great for oily skin? I like it because I do like how lightweight it is. I do like the benefits that it has for your skin. I do wish, like I said, it didn't sink into my fine lines as much, but yes, like I said, I do think that this would work for oily skin, because lasting 7 hours for me personally working on the sun, that is still a really nice long time, especially having oily skin on top of that. Again, I know that not every foundation, you know, is going to work that works for me is going to work for you guys, and vice versa. So I just like to encourage you guys always to kind of leave your experiences with the foundations down below, so other people can kind of come in and, you know, see your opinions and not just mine. So, you know, we can all kind of work together and maybe find a foundation that works for, you know, you or whoever else. So yeah, so that's it. I hope you guys enjoyed this review and demo. And if you guys have any other like questions or anything about this foundation, always make sure to leave them down below and I'll try to answer them. And as always, thank you guys so much for watching.